We are a country that stands for freedom, for rightness, for justice, for everyone. It simply doesn't apply to those who are not white. It just simply doesn't apply.
Latest on celebrity chef Paula Deen, her career in ruins following her admission she had used a racial slur.
Hollywood loves to brag about how forward-thinking it is. Yet behind the glittering billboards lurk stories that will make your jaw drop and your heart race. Big stars have shouted hateful words. And even though open racism is fading, it never truly left the soundstage. Number 14, Bing Crosby. The crooner who can melt snow with White Christmas hid a much colder truth behind that warm baritone. Born in 1903, Crosby hit vaudeville just as minstrel shows were packing crowds with caricatures of black life. So he slipped straight into makeup kit and painted his face black. He clowned through at least 4 films in that disguise, swinging his arms, rolling his eyes, and selling the worst lies about black people as harmless laughter. Viewers roared. Studio bosses cashed in, and a powerful voice kept a cruel joke alive. Fast forward to 1954. White Christmas shows Crosby leading Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, and Vera Ellen through the song Mandy. No soot on faces, yet the tune itself was lifted from blackface stages, turning the movie into a bright Technicolor postcard that still carried a sour smell of the past. Even more confusing, Crosby championed jazz master Louis Armstrong, sharing the microphone with him on radio and film. He told reporters Armstrong was genius. Yet behind closed doors, he flipped a hateful slur while chatting about the very man he praised. Many historians note that Crosby's blackface work was not hidden away in obscure shorts, but pressed onto sheet music covers and lobby posters that toured the country. This national reach helped freeze those mocking images in the American mind for decades, shaping how audiences thought about black culture long after the curtains closed. Number 13, Jimmy Stewart. Hollywood sold Jimmy Stewart as a tall neighbor who would lend you sugar, but his temper told a harsher tale. The Academy winner who later flew bombing runs over Nazi targets and rose to Major General War dignity like a second skin. Yet on set, he sometimes fought to keep a racial pecking order intact. In 1971, producers on The Jimmy Stewart Show cast actor Hal Williams as a kind patrol officer. Stewart exploded, demanding a rewrite because he did not want a black man handing out advice on screen. Crew members froze as their gentle star barked orders with a steel edge they had never heard. NBC worried about bad press, but Stewart stood firm until Williams was quietly replaced. Many viewers never knew, yet the actor's stand revealed he valued the heroic image of lawmen only when the badge sat on a white chest. That was no lone outburst. During The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance in 1962, Stewart hurled slurs at athlete-turned-actor Woody Strode, calling him names that sliced the air like broken glass. Director John Ford, no stranger to rough talk himself, marched over and shut the tirade down before. Number 12, Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando smashed acting rules with pure raw emotion, yet in 1996 he smashed goodwill on live television. Chatting with Larry King, Brando tore into Hollywood bosses, many of them Jewish, saying they spread demeaning images of minorities while ignoring their own history of persecution. His rant named Jewish executives directly, a move critics blasted as anti-Semitic poison. Civil rights leaders pounced, claiming the superstar fan old hatreds rather than calling for broad reform. The fallout was swift and loud. Newspapers splashed front-page headlines, talk radio buzzed, and community groups demanded an apology. Brando met with Jewish leaders, expressed regret, and tried to clarify that he wanted every studio head to show more empathy, yet his choice to single out one faith left a stain that never fully washed out. Supporters pointed to his long fight for native rights, noting that he once rejected an Oscar through Sachin Lil Feather to spotlight broken treaties. Number 11, Taylor Selfridge. Reality television feeds on drama, yet Taylor Selfridge's downfall came from tweets she fired off long before she stepped under the teen mom spotlight. Screenshots showed her joking about getting punched by black girls every Halloween and bragging that black customers at her job made her nervous. When those posts resurfaced during nationwide protests after the George Floyd tragedy, MTV slammed the brakes on her baby special and cut her loose from Teen Mom OG. The network statement arrived within hours, and it snapped like a door slamming shut. Selfridge rushed to social media with a filmed apology, calling the tweets dumb teenage humor and swearing she never meant harm. She said motherhood changed her, adding that she wanted to grow, learn and raise her daughter in a house where skin color never mattered. She also announced she was ending the reality run on her own terms, saying production rules felt unfair and the constant cameras strained her mental health. Critics pointed out another twist. Selfridge first reached viewers on the show Are You the One?, which prided itself on an inclusive cast where people of all backgrounds lived under one roof. To see her old tweets resurface felt like a betrayal of the very brand that handed her fame, fueling headlines that spread even faster than her apology. The Flash actor Hartley Sawyer found that out the hard way. Old tweets crawled back from the grave, dripping with hateful jokes about women, race, and orientation. One post bragged about kidnapping homeless women. Another bragged that he kept exposing himself as racist. Outrage hit warp speed, and producers yanked him from the show without a second thought. Executive producer Eric Wallace thundered that the set must stay safe and welcoming for every worker. His statement warned that slurs aimed at any race, nation, gender, or identity would be blasted off the lot fast. Sawyer's timeline delivered a lesson that tweets never really die. They only hide until someone scrolls deep enough. But the fallout for thoughtless words is nothing new in Hollywood. Saddle up for a name that once defined big screen toughness: John Wayne. For decades, Wayne towered over westerns, his gravel voice promising grit and glory. An Oscar for True Grit in 1970 proved fans still loved his cowboy swagger. Yet the Duke carried more than a rifle. He carried dangerous beliefs that clashed with changing America. In a 1971 Playboy chat, Wayne flat out said he believed in white rule until black citizens reached what he called the right schooling. He blasted civil rights leaders as irresponsible and brushed off native land theft by calling tribes savages. Those words echoed while the nation marched for equality, revealing a hero stuck in an outdated saddle. He even used a homophobic slur to slam Midnight Cowboy, a film that challenged a macho myth he spent years selling. Critics blasted his comments, but studios still rolled out red carpets for him. Fans cheered, box office records fell, and award shows shine bright, showing how slowly old attitudes truly die. One night proved the tension on full display. During the 1973 Oscars, Marlon Brando refused his trophy for The Godfather, sending native activist Acheen Littlefeather to explain Hollywood's broken promises. Wayne was backstage and reportedly lunged toward her, so upset that guards held him back. That single moment exposed how fiercely he guarded the very system many wanted to change. Even after his death in 1979, the fights never stopped. Orange County renamed its airport for him, praising classic American values. Today, activists push to remove the name, while his son Ethan insists the legend was no racist at all. The debate roars on, proving that legacies can be just as rugged as any frontier Wayne crossed on film. Now hold tight, because the next icon built entire kingdoms of childhood dreams. Yet whispers about his real views have haunted the castle for years. Walt Disney, the man whose name means magic to millions, carried controversies far darker than any cartoon villain. Workers remember a studio where women drew ink lines while men created the stories. A 1938 rejection letter told a young woman that creative jobs simply were not for females. Animator Floyd Norman, Disney's first black artist, arrived only in 1957, decades after Snow White hit theaters. Bill Melendez, who later brought the Peanuts gang to life, recalled Disney mocking certain groups, especially Jews. Rumors grew louder after 1938 when Disney gave German filmmaker Leni Riefenstahl, a favorite of the Nazi regime, a grand studio tour just weeks after Kristallnacht. Critics say that visit proved troubling sympathies, while defenders claim he was merely curious about filmmaking technique. On screen, harmful tropes marched across cells. The Crow chorus in Dumbo mimicked minstrel stereotypes, and Song of the South painted plantation life as a cheery storybook. When one dark-skinned Hindu employee was mistaken for black, witnesses say Disney tried to fire him on the spot. Each tale chips away at the squeaky clean statue that parks still polish with fireworks every night. Fans argue that Disney revolutionized animation, sound, and theme parks, creating joy that spans generations. Detractors counter that genius should never shield prejudice. Today, the company buries Song of the South in a vault, rewrites ride scenes, and issues statements about inclusion, proving even billion-dollar brands can learn, though some say they are decades late. Disney's shadow shows how a smiling mascot can hide a storm of bias, reminding us that every legendary name on this list owns triumphs and troubling truths. Number 7, Walter Brennan. Audiences once cheered Brennan's friendly grin and twangy drawl, yet many never heard the harsh views he shared away from the camera. Born in vaudeville, he danced, sang, and joked until Hollywood called, then racked up 3 Oscars that proved his acting power. But during the civil rights era, he used that same grandpa-Amos voice to preach fear of change, even recording speeches that blasted equal rights marches as communist plots. Brennan's dread of progress ran so deep that he built a bunker at home, convinced Soviet tanks would roll down his driveway any day. When Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy were murdered, co-workers said Brennan showed no sorrow. Instead, he claimed America had been saved from revolution. He joined the John Birch Society and warned that new music by the Beatles would poison his grandkids' minds. Fans trusted his kind, old-timer persona. Yet he spent rally after rally urging prayer in public schools and calling Supreme Court decisions a victory for godless radicals. His paranoia even reached Hollywood social circles, where he branded outspoken stars as secret traitors. Each rant chipped another piece from the pedestal that once held him so high. But the backlash against ugly behavior did not stop with classic cowboys. Brace yourself for a modern musical star whose kindness claims collapsed in seconds. Number 6, Lea Michele. After George Floyd was killed in 2020, Lea Michele posted support for Black Lives Matter, expecting applause from millions of Glee fans. Instead, former castmate Samantha Marie were shocked Twitter by saying Michelle made her life a living nightmare on set, where wrote that Michelle once threatened she would defecate in my wig and hurled humiliating comments daily. Alex Newell Gent Godlock and several background performers backed the story, adding that Michelle labeled extras cockroaches. Heather Morris confirmed Michelle was unpleasant, though she could not speak to her private beliefs. Actor Keith Powell echoed claims about racist microaggressions, painting a picture of a star who ruled with fear. Number 5, Abby Lee Miller. Dance Moms viewers knew Abby Lee's bark was loud, but few realized the pain hiding in the wings. After posting a blackout square for social justice, she was slammed by Adriana Smith, mother of Season 8 dancer Cameron. Smith declared the Instagram gesture hypocrisy, unveiling how Miller once sneered that Cameron was there only for diversity points. Smith said the tension grew until she pulled her daughter off the show, choosing dignity over screen time. Miller apologized on Twitter, promising to educate herself, yet Smith rejected the note as too late and too vague. Parent Camille Bridges then stepped forward, recalling how Miller copied black culture without credit and dismissed black choreographers' ideas. Sponsors fled, the network cut ties, and Miller's empire wobbled on shaky ground. Critics noted that disciplined coaching is one thing, but belittling talent for skin tone crosses every line. Her downfall became a cautionary tale for reality TV producers scrambling to protect young cast members from toxic power. The spiral of reputations continues. Number 4, Kevin Spacey. House of Cards rocketed Spacey to global fame in 2012, with viewers hooked on Frank Underwood's chilling charm. Yet security chief Earl Blue, hired to guard the Maryland set, says the experience had deep contempt behind the camera. Blue claimed Spacey refused to acknowledge black guards, told producers he did not want black staff near my trailer, and brushed past greetings with icy silence. The contract for Blue's 40-member company was worth $1 million, but it vanished without warning after season 1. Netflix never gave a reason, and Blue's business absorbed a crushing blow. Another guard, Eric Lyles, confirmed the same silent treatment, describing months of being stared through as if invisible. Both men called the pattern humiliating, saying it proved prejudice still thrives in expensive suits. Production insiders later muttered that security breaches forced a higher change, though Blue insists his team's record was spotless. He waited 4 years before breaking non-disclosure vows, deciding the moral weight outmatched his signature. Spacey spokespeople say they remember no insults, yet the stories refused to fade. Then came 2017 and the avalanche. Actor Anthony Rapp told BuzzFeed that a 26-year-old Spacey tried to force himself on 14-year-old Rapp at a 1986 party. Spacey replied he did not remember, but apologized if the event happened, while also announcing he lived as a gay man. The statement exploded online, with critics calling it an attempt to dodge accountability. More accusers stepped forward. News anchor Heather Unruh said Spacey assaulted her son. Actor Roberto Cavazos described unwanted advances at London's Old Vic, where Spacey had been artistic director. 8 House of Cards staffers cited a set culture of harassment, and investigators at the Old Vic found 20 possible victims. Netflix reacted fast, canceling a Gore Vidal biopic, erasing Spacey from House of Cards' final season. Number 3, Paula Deen. Paula Deen, once queen of comfort food, saw her cooking shows, sponsorships, and reputation collapse under the weight of her own words. It started when a former employee revealed that Deen wanted to hire middle-aged black men to serve guests at a wedding dressed in white jackets and black bow ties. Worse yet, Deen admitted to using a racial slur when describing them. The backlash was instant and fierce. TV networks cut ties, sponsors vanished, and her Southern empire began to fall apart. During a tearful Today Show interview with Matt Lauer, Deen insisted she wasn't racist, but the damage was done, and her clumsy defense only made things worse. Viewers were shocked by how little she seemed to understand the seriousness of her remarks. The scandal wasn't only about a hateful word. It was about her vision of a Southern plantation-themed wedding, complete with black staff serving guests. That fantasy brought painful memories of slavery roaring back to life for many people. A year later, Deen returned to the Today Show, claiming she barely recognized the person she had been during that first disastrous interview. She even suggested she should have stayed off TV altogether and sought medical help during that dark time. Number 2, Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas battled his way from poverty to the top of the silver screen, but his road to fame came paved with scandal. His love for acting started in high school, yet his personal life swung between charming hero and controversial figure, leaving Hollywood buzzing with whispers. The darkest rumor? Allegations surfaced tying Douglas to the mistreatment of actress Natalie Wood when she was just 15 years old. It said she spent hours in his hotel room before being dismissed and threatened, though no evidence has ever confirmed the claim. Even so, the rumor resurfaced after Douglas passed away, leaving his legacy tangled in suspicion. Some argue that story was wrongly pinned on Douglas, pointing out similar allegations swirled around other famous men. But Douglas never hid his flaws. He openly admitted he wasn't well-liked in Hollywood circles, blaming his tough childhood for his sharp edges. Number 1, William Frawley. Millions love William Frawley as Fred Mertz on the classic sitcom I Love Lucy, but the man behind the grumpy landlord was far more troubling than anyone knew. Born in 1887 in Iowa, Frawley's journey to fame took him from vaudeville stages to Hollywood film sets, with over 100 movies under his belt before landing his most famous role. But despite the laughs he delivered, Frawley's reputation for a quick temper and heavy drinking made him infamous off-camera. His hateful remarks toward minorities, including his Cuban-born co-star Desi Arnaz, shocked insiders and stained his legacy. Writer Bob Schiller, who worked on the show, described Frawley as a product of the 1920s, a time when such offensive views often went unchecked. The tension with his on-screen wife, Vivian Vance, who played Ethel Mertz, was no secret either. Vance resented having to wear frumpy clothes and look older to play Frawley's wife, especially since he was 21 years her senior. Their dislike for each other ran deep, and they barely spoke once the cameras stopped rolling. When Frawley pitched a spin-off centered on the Mertzes, Vance flat out refused to work with him again.